welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we examine the source material you've sent us, cut through the noise, and really try to deliver the essential insights you need to be informed quickly. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a case study that kind of defies all the usual explanations for corporate failure. So we're not talking about a bankruptcy or a slow decline. We are looking at the case of a functioning company that just systematically vanished. And the story begins in a very mundane way. It's a Tuesday morning. Employees are driving to the office, finding their usual parking spots, pulling out their key cards. They open the doors, and that whole expectation of a normal workday just dissolves into this immediate and profound silence.
And what makes this so exceptional and frankly so disturbing is the central mystery here. You have a company that was, by all outward appearances, healthy. I mean, they were sending out project updates the night before.
Meetings were scheduled for that morning.
Exactly. Deadlines were set. And yet it managed to erase itself, both physically and digitally, literally overnight. So our goal in this deep dive is to trace the sequence of events and really look at the decisions behind this void. The focus is on the unsettling precision of it all.
Let's really unpack that moment of arrival. The sources paint this vivid picture of confusion that just slowly turns to dread. When the first employees walk in, the lights are off. The silence is the first thing they notice.
Right. And the first assumption is, disbelief. Maybe a power outage.
Or they're on the wrong floor, maybe the wrong building even. Just simple confusion.
But that disbelief, it turns cold pretty quickly. They realize this isn't some temporary glitch. The hallways aren't just dark.
They're empty, completely empty. The security guards are there, but the entire internal infrastructure is just gone.
And this is where the story pivots. This isn't just a closure. It's a meticulously planned operation. This was not the scene of a chaotic exit or some kind of looting.
Yeah.
Every single piece of equipment needed for the business to run was gone. We're talking about the obvious things first. The computer monitors, the servers, the desks themselves.
The filing cabinets, all of it.
All of it. And the precision is what's key. The sources describe this space as being removed, organized.
Right. Not trashed.
Not at all. I mean, think about the logistics of clearing an entire office for hundreds of people. That requires moving crews, a lot of trucks, and, sustained access for hours. And all of it was done in total secrecy.
But the detail that really elevates this, the one that makes it a study in just total erasure, is the personal effects. It's one thing to move servers. It's another thing entirely to clear hundreds of individual desks so thoroughly that you can't even tell a person ever sat there. Personal photos, coffee mugs.
The jacket left on the back of a chair.
All of it vanished.
Exactly. And that level of removal, it suggests an intention that goes way beyond just stopping business operations.
Yeah.
It implies a deliberate effort to eliminate any individual human trace.
Why, though?
Well, it prevents employees from later claiming that personal property was stolen or lost. The goal was just complete systematic obliteration of the company's physical footprint. And to really understand the shock of this, you have to look at the company's status right up until that moment. They were maintaining a total facade of normality.
Business as usual.
Completely. No public signs of struggling, no spending freezes. Projects were active, sales calls are being made, major deadlines were set for that week.
In a typical corporate failure, you'd expect to see some signs, right?
Rumors, nervous managers.
Exactly. You'd see leakages. Here, the company was, by all external signs, clinically alive 1 minute and then just excise the next.
So when the employees tried to find out what was going on, the channels were already dead.
Instantly.
The digital eraser had been used. So you try to message your manager, what's happening? And you get nothing. Silence.
HR emails bounced back.
Right, which is that classic sign of a domain being deleted. The
Yep.
company websites, they stopped loading at the exact same time. It was all synchronized. The void was total. And the human response was, completely understandable. Confusion, and then this lingering hope that it was all just a huge misunderstanding.
So they waited. The sources say employees were outside the building for hours, just waiting. They were convinced someone, a lawyer or an executive, would show up with an explanation.
And the only communication they got.
It was from building security, a cold, formal directive telling them they were trespassing and needed to leave the property.
And that's the chilling part, that juxtaposition. The physical space and the digital infrastructure all cut off at the exact same time.
Yeah.
It speaks to a level of planning that suggests this wasn't a sudden decision, but an execution.
A checklist.
A pre-established checklist, absolutely. And if we connect that operational void to the financial reality, we get to the most crucial and confusing piece of this puzzle, the
Hmm.
legal status.
Yeah.
The employees face these immediate devastating consequences. Salaries just stopped. Health insurance coverage vanished overnight. Their employment contracts were effectively meaningless because the company that signed them, well, it no longer existed in any functional way.
But that's not the strangest part, is it?
Not even close. Because later, some of the former staff did their own research, and they discovered this profound paradox.
Which was?
While they were operationally still working, sending emails on that Tuesday, legally, the corporate entity had filed papers for dissolution weeks earlier.
Weeks. So they were working for a company that was, on paper, already dead.
Precisely.
That disconnect is the core of it, the intentional secrecy. It just raises the critical question, why? If the company was legally gone, why maintain the operational facade for weeks? What was the point?
That is the pivotal question. It implies that whatever was happening in those final weeks was vital to the people in charge. Perhaps it was about finalizing one last big contract or shifting assets somewhere.
So keeping up appearances, even as a ghost company, allowed them to control the timeline.
Exactly. To manage the announcement, or in this case, the lack of one for their own benefit, it was a strategy. Maintain operational continuity not to protect the employees, but to protect the principals from immediate liability or scrutiny.
So the legal move was designed to create distance.
Yes, a time buffer. By dissolving on paper weeks before the physical disappearance, they ensured that when it all happened, the legal entity had, for all intents and purposes, already ceased to exist. It's a very sophisticated legal sleight of hand.
So what was the official response after the fact?
Well, there was very little clarity. Authorities described the event simply as a corporate restructuring.
Which sounds so routine,
Yeah.
so benign.
It is. And former executives went completely silent, refused all interviews. Lawyers issued only the briefest of statements confirming the dissolution. No wrongdoing was ever officially confirmed.
But to the former employees, that explanation must have felt insulting, laughably inadequate. How is this a restructuring?
Well, that term usually covers things like mergers or major downsizing. But in those cases, the entity changes form. Assets are transferred, employees get redundancy packages, or they're moved to a new part of the company.
Right. There's a process, a paper trail.
There's a process. This was a total erasure. No transfer of assets, no clear trail of funds, and zero communication. The sources suggest that the authorities were just slow to grasp the intentionality of it all. They preferred the standard corporate vocabulary instead of acknowledging what it really was.
A coordinated disappearance.
Exactly.
And the employees, they saw it for what it was. They described it as feeling, what was the phrase?
Too clean, too quiet.
And almost rehearsed. That's the one that sticks with me. This wasn't a panicked flight. It felt like a performance.
And those questions linger because of that precision. Why wipe every digital channel instantly? Why methodically remove every single physical asset overnight? And why the zero-tolerance approach to communication with the very people they relied on until the last second?
It screams of a need for a clean, untraceable getaway.
It does.
And what's left behind? If you were to go to that building today,
The sources say the building itself tells the final chapter of the story, really, through its absence. From the outside, it looks fine. The glass is intact. The only change is that the corporate sign is gone.
but inside,
Inside, it's hollow. It echoes. It's become this striking monument not to financial collapse, but to instantaneous operational non-existence.
that emptiness really provides the final contrast, doesn't it? When you compare this to a typical company shutdown.
It does. We're used to failure being a slow bureaucratic process. There are redundancy notices, meetings, formal emails with corporate condolences.
There's a goodbye, even if it's a painful one.
Yes, there's a sense of closure. This was instantaneous and systematic. It was emptied with clear intent, leaving no apologies, no trace of the management, and no real way for former employees to seek any kind of redress.
The organization didn't just fail, it chose to erase itself. So we started this deep dive with a routine Tuesday morning that turned into an immediate mystery. We've traced the timeline, the simultaneous physical and digital erasure, and the key revelation that the company was legally gone weeks before anyone knew.
And the speed and organization of it all, it contrasts so sharply with standard corporate procedure. It leaves you with this very unsettling feeling that the people in control can, if they're motivated and have the resources, achieve this near-perfect invisibility.
The source material really forces us to confront these fundamental questions about corporate accountability. I mean, when an employer can dissolve itself so completely and so quietly, the trust that's inherent in that employer-employee relationship is just, it's fractured.
And the systemic cost is so much bigger than just a lost paycheck.
So we'll leave you with this to consider. What specific combination of legal maneuvering and immense logistical power have to come together to allow a fully functional operation to dismantle itself in absolute secret, all while maintaining a perfect facade of business as usual?
And maybe more importantly, what does it mean for the future of work when a company can deliberately choose to erase its own footprint, leaving hundreds of people without a job, without an explanation, without even their coffee mug on a Tuesday morning?
Thank you for diving deep with us.